You know, the Lord is good to his people. But as for me, there was a time in my life where I found myself very far from him. I grew up in a Christian family. I spent my childhood in children's church. I gave my life to Jesus when I was 16 years old on a youth camp. All through my teenage years and my early 20s, I served the Lord with all my heart. But there came a time, and it was around the time I went to university, where I found myself drifting further and further away from the Lord. I started to become fascinated and caught up with the things that the world had to offer, and I had wanted to experience them for myself. And all the while, my heart was growing colder and colder towards the Jesus that I had met in my teens. This fascination led me to desire to understand and to experience the things of the world. And I did. Over the period of a few years, I experienced all of the heartache, the disappointment, the disillusionment, the despair, the oppression, all of the things that the world has to offer. And 2-3 years later, I found myself completely depressed, at my wit's end, having made a mess of everything that the Lord had given me, and feeling like a complete failure. I had become depressed and I had become nocturnal because I was terrified of going to sleep. I was oppressed. I couldn't be by myself. I had to always have people around me. And by all accounts, I had just made a complete mess of everything that the Lord had given me. And it was in that state that one day somebody invited me to church. Little did I know that all through this time, where I was closing my heart to the Lord, I was opening my heart to other things. And a little voice had been feeding me lies all this time, telling me, you've messed up your chances. You've been given everything. It's too late for you. There's no way back. And I had started to believe these things and believe that the heart of the Lord was closed to me because I'd been given everything. And because I'd made a mess of it, that there was no way back into the presence of God. So it was with this attitude and with this weight on my shoulders that one day I went to church. And with my head bowed low and ashamed at everything that I had done, I found myself repenting before God and saying to him, Lord, I've made a mess with everything that you've given me. But if there's any way that you can touch me, here's my life. And I said those words not really expecting anything to happen. And I was amazed to see the grace and the mercy of God. I hadn't slept a full night for maybe 6 months. And that night I slept like I've never slept. The Lord washed away everything, all of my sins, all of my anxieties, everything that I had messed up, all of the depression. In an instant, it was gone. And I realized that God's love for me was so much greater than anything I could have imagined before. And I'm sure that there are many of you who have grown up in Christian homes, who have known the Lord, who have experienced something with Jesus. And the enemy has maybe fed you a lie that says that you have gone too far. And he's told you that you are not redeemable, or he's told you that your sin is too great. I want to tell you, the grace and the mercy of Jesus are beyond what we can imagine, are beyond what we can understand. If we're only ready to humble our hearts and come before him and say, Lord, this is me, we will be astounded at what Jesus can and is prepared to do. I encourage you, if you find yourself far from the Lord today, wherever you are, turn your heart to him and be amazed at what he can do for you.